80,000 American soldiers stand on European soil today, and Washington has just started counting which ones it wants to bring home. From here in Europe, this is the moment we have quietly dreaded and privately expected in equal measure. Because for 70 years our security has rested on a promise from across the Atlantic. And that promise is now being audited like a corporate spreadsheet. The United States has begun what its own Pentagon calls a real review of American military presence in Europe. The number 3 official at the Defense Department announced it on the platform X, framing it as a way to ensure that the North Atlantic Treaty Organization moves quickly toward Europe, carrying the main responsibility for its own conventional defense. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth first announced this in June in Brussels and gave it a timeline of roughly 6 months. Now, the stated logic is not new. President Donald Trump has complained for years that European members spend too little on their own armies. And here is the inconvenient detail American coverage tends to skip. Many of them listened. Germany, for one, has sharply increased its defense budget. Europe did precisely what it was told, and the review arrived anyway. That is the pattern worth noticing. Because when Hegseth announced this in June, he did not sound like an accountant. He said the alliance had been, quote, a paper tiger and a one-way street, and that Trump had tested the member states and, quote, too many had failed. The test, he meant, appears to be the war against Iran, which the United States and Israel began in February. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization was not consulted, not included, and many legal experts consider the American action a violation of international law. Europe declined to join a war it had no part in planning, and is now being graded for insufficient loyalty. The review will reportedly examine not just troop numbers, but the fighter jets, drones, refueling aircraft, and naval units stationed across the continent with an eye toward reducing them. And this follows a spring in which Washington already floated, pulling at least 5,000 of the roughly 39,000 soldiers out of Germany and quietly canceled the planned deployment of long-range cruise missiles here. The direction is spelled out in Trump's new defense strategy from January. The United States wants to remain a firm ally within the alliance, but its priorities are the defense of its own homeland and the deterrence of China. Europe, in other words, is being politely moved down the list. From Berlin, none of this is hysterical or surprising. It is a country recalculating what it owes and to whom. The question Europe now faces is the one it has avoided since 1945. What does a continent do when its guarantor starts reading the fine print? We spent decades assuming the answer would never come due. It appears the invoice has arrived. That's the view from here. What does it look like where you are? Drop it in the comments and subscribe for the perspective American media won't give you.